They say life comes full circle, but no one tells you how messy that circle looks when you're standing in the middle of it. I'll never forget the morning everything we'd built, the love, the family, the hard-earned peace, nearly shattered in an instant. We were sitting in the sunlit living room of our home outside Atlanta, my husband Michael flipping through paperwork while I rocked our baby girl on my lap. It was quiet, too quiet, until the front door slammed open like a gunshot. A woman stormed in, tall and severe, her headscarf trembling with rage. I recognized her instantly. Lorraine, Michael's late wife's sister. She didn't knock, didn't pause, just pointed a shaking finger straight at him. "You murderer!" She spat, her voice like a whip. "You used my sister to get rich, didn't you? And now you think you can replace her with this waitress." Her eyes sliced over to me, dripping contempt. Michael stood slowly, calm but tense. "Lorraine, please, that's not true. Don't you dare speak," she snapped, stepping closer. "You think money erases blood? You sacrificed her life so you could flaunt this mansion." I felt my stomach clench. My hands trembled, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Ma'am," I said softly. "Michael loved your sister. He would never harm her. Someone must be feeding you lies." That only made her angrier. "Lies. You think you can talk to me like that because he gave you pretty clothes and a title?" "Lorraine." Michael tried again, his voice low, pleading. "Please, let's not do this here." But her hand shot to the fold of her wrapper, and in one terrifying motion she pulled out a kitchen knife. Everything slowed down, the gleam of the blade, the gasp that left my throat, the sudden lunge forward. Pain ripped through my side like fire. I collapsed to the polished floor, blood spreading fast across my blouse. Michael screamed my name. He dropped beside me, his hands pressing against the wound, his face pale with horror. "Stay with me, Emily. Stay with me," he begged. I could barely breathe, my lips trembling as I whispered, "Please, don't let me die. I don't want to leave her." I glanced at our daughter's crib in the corner, tears streaming down my face. Security swarmed in, restraining Lorraine as she screamed. She stole my sister's life. But I couldn't hear much after that. The sirens from the house's private alarm system roared through my head as Michael carried me to the waiting ambulance, his suit drenched in blood, his voice shaking with desperate prayers. At the hospital, they rushed me through swinging doors, and Michael was left standing in the hallway, staring at his own blood-stained hands. He later told me he felt like he was watching history repeat itself. He'd lost his first wife in a delivery room years ago. He wasn't going to let death win again. He paced those corridors like a ghost, whispering my name over and over, until hours later a surgeon emerged. "She's alive," the doctor said. "The next 24 hours are critical, but you got her here in time." When I woke up, Michael was holding my hand, his forehead pressed to it. I whispered his name, and his tears fell on my skin. "I'm here, my love," he said. "We'll fight this together." And we did. Slowly, painfully, I recovered. Lorraine was arrested and charged with attempted murder. The trial was brutal, but clear CCTV footage showed everything. She was sentenced to life without parole. Reporters shouted questions outside the courthouse asking if we felt victorious. I told them, "This isn't victory, it's consequence." But life wasn't done twisting. Weeks later, our lawyer arrived with a folder that would change everything. He laid it on Michael's desk, his expression grim. "These bank transfers, they're from a rival businessman. Someone paid Lorraine to believe you killed your wife. They fueled her grief, used her like a weapon." The name made Michael's jaw tighten. Donovan Kane, a man who had spent years trying to ruin him. That same night, Michael's phone buzzed with an unknown number. When he answered, a cold voice said, "If you want the truth, come alone." He didn't tell me everything, but I knew by the look in his eyes he wasn't going to let fear run our lives. The next morning, he drove himself to a deserted parking lot behind an abandoned theater. He wore a plain cap and kept security hidden nearby. A thin man approached, glancing over his shoulder like a hunted animal. "I'm Malik," he said softly. "I used to work for Donovan. I have proof transfers, orders, messages." He set Lorraine up. "He wanted chaos to bury you." Malik handed Michael a flash drive with shaking hands. But before they could leave, black SUVs screeched into the lot, men in hoodies spilling out guns glinting. Michael slipped the drive into his pocket, raised his hands slowly. "You're making a mistake," he said calmly. Engines roared down the street as Michael's security team arrived, blocking exits. The standoff ended quickly, the attackers arrested. That night, we sat in our home office staring at Malik's evidence on the screen. Bank statements, voice notes of Donovan's chilling voice. Pay the bloggers. Spread rumors he's in a cult. Convince her he killed his wife. If she acts recklessly good, chaos makes noise. We'll bury him in it. I covered my mouth, tears blurring my vision. He used her grief. Michael's voice was steady but cold, and nearly killed you. We handed everything to the police, but even as Donovan was arrested, he managed to post bail. His empire of lies wasn't going to crumble overnight. Still, Michael's resolve hardened. We refused to hide. We went to work. We loved louder. We prayed harder. Months later, I told Michael I wanted to visit Lorraine in prison. He hesitated but agreed. When she walked into the visitors' hall, she looked smaller, older, broken. The moment she saw us, she dropped to her knees sobbing. "I'm sorry," she cried. "I was blind." He fed me lies, paid my rent, promised me justice. I let him ride my pain like a horse. I wanted someone to blame, and I almost destroyed you. My heart cracked wide open. I reached across the cold metal table and took her trembling hands. "I forgive you," I said softly. Michael placed his hand over ours. "So do I." Lorraine sobbed harder, whispering prayers for a second chance. We promised to help her fight for one. Months later, the Attorney General reopened her case. The judge weighed the new evidence and granted her release under strict supervision. Some people called us foolish, others called us brave, but I didn't care. Forgiveness freed me more than it freed her. Lorraine started working at Kindness Cafe, wiping tables, washing dishes, slowly learning grace again. One night I found her scrubbing chairs long after closing. "Auntie, we have staff for that," I said gently. She looked up, tears shining. "Every plate I clean heals me, Emily. Let me serve." And I hugged her, whispering, "Then keep healing. But remember, you're loved here too." Life moved forward. Our daughter Grace grew up strong, studied medicine, and fell in love with a kind pharmacist named Eli. Their wedding was a celebration of everything we'd fought for: love, survival, redemption. Lorraine cried through the ceremony, holding my hand like she was afraid to let go. When Grace gave birth to twin girls, we held those babies and remembered everything: the knife, the courtrooms, the forgiveness, and marveled at how kindness had paid us back in blessings we couldn't count. But life has a way of testing you again when you least expect it. One evening when the twins were 3, there was a soft knock at our door. Michael answered, and a nervous young man stood there in a wrinkled suit. "My name is Peter," he said. "I used to work for Donovan. Even from prison, his network is alive. They think you forgave Lorraine because you're weak. They're planning something worse, with force this time." Fear flashed through me, but I held my ground. "Why come here?" Michael asked. Peter swallowed hard. "Because I saw what you did for Malik. I want that chance too. Please protect your family." That night, Michael doubled security around our home and cafe. I went to bed with a pit in my stomach, watching our daughters sleep peacefully, wondering if we'd ever truly be safe. Months later, Donovan finally faced his last trial. The courtroom was packed, reporters leaning forward, cameras flashing. One by one, his men testified against him. The flash drive was played aloud, his voice filling the room like poison. "You used grief to fuel hate money to break lives," the judge said, sentencing him to 30 years behind bars. Donovan lowered his head. The man who thought power was cruelty had lost everything. Afterward, Lorraine became more than family. She became our partner, managing Kindness Cafe with quiet humility. People who once whispered about her now watched her greet customers with a smile that carried both sorrow and peace. Years passed, and when our cafe celebrated its 25th anniversary, I stood on the same stage where I'd once been, just a waitress serving leftovers. My voice trembled, but it was strong. 25 years ago, I believed one act of kindness could matter. I never knew it would bring me here. Don't underestimate kindness. It can change a life, build a future, heal wounds. And when the story's finished, kindness pays back. Michael took the mic, smiling through tears. The poorest man isn't the one without money, it's the one without kindness.
May we never be poor again.
The hall erupted in applause, our family holding each other close under the lights, finally feeling like we'd made it through the storm. But even that night, I couldn't shake Peter's warning. Donovan was gone, but his reach. What if it wasn't? What if danger was just waiting for us to let our guard down? What would you do if someone tried to destroy your family with lies? Would you have forgiven Lorraine after what she did to me? Tell me where you're watching from and share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your stories. And if this one moved, you hit that like button, subscribe, and share it. Because maybe, just maybe, kindness can ripple farther than fear.